It felt like I was being stabbed repeatedly over and over, and it was this hot, burning pain that never ended.
I felt like I was dying, something horribly, horribly wrong with me. That something was slowly killing me from the inside.
It's scary how something so small can cause so much damage. If it was a person, I'd hate it.
This is Essure, a device used to permanently sterilise women. The coils are inserted into the fallopian tubes to block them. Seen as revolutionary, the procedure doesn't require surgery.
The device was sold to me on the understanding that it was a very simple procedure.
That I'd be in and out of the doctor's office in 10 and 20 minutes. That it was the answer to all my prayers. That there wouldn't be any recovery time.
It had far less risks attached to it than traditional sterilisation.
Approved for use on the NHS 8 years ago, doctors promise women a quick and safe way to be sterilised.
But this hasn't always been the case. Earlier this year, we were contacted by women who told us that Essure had made them seriously unwell. And since then, we've learned that there have been major problems with the device. Often, women aren't being told about the risks, and sometimes they're needing total hysterectomies to have it removed.
It literally felt like somebody was pumping blood out of me, and I could feel it sitting down, standing up.
The day after Emily's procedure, things started to go wrong.
The pain, oh, it's okay. I can remember it now, that the sort of tummy ache that feels like somebody's on your insides and squishing everything.
Emily's bleeding didn't stop, and doctors quickly had to remove her womb and fallopian tubes to get the implants out. But they only found one coil. The other was later found stuck in the tissue surrounding her bowel and can't be removed.
When I go to the toilet, the pain is there, and I sometimes bleed from my back passage. Yeah, it's just painful all the time.
What impact has it had on your life?
Living in constant pain is really wearing. I think you're the white one, Bob. Me and Andy find it very difficult to be intimate together because I just can't take the pain. In regards to being a mum, it stops me being a mum a lot of the time because it hurts, because obviously they cuddle me quite low down, and that's really hard in every way. Not just in the physical pain, but in the emotional as well, because it's quite hard to not be able to be the mum that I want to be. It's not going to hurt you. Look how long its legs are.
The Essure coils are made from nickel and small polyester fibres known as PET fibres. The fibres are designed to trigger inflammation inside the fallopian tubes, causing scar tissue to build up, which eventually blocks the tubes, sterilising the woman. But this has caused some women intense pain, and others have reacted badly to the materials.
If you look what it's made of, you start to get worried immediately.
Carl Hennigan has been looking at the medical evidence surrounding Essure for the past 3 years.
10% of women are sensitive to nickel. There's an immediate problem, but it's also made of a compound which is present in this, polyethylene terephthalate, PET. When you heat this bottle up, it will release compounds that are potentially dangerous into the water. Now that heating happens in the human body, and when you do that, it starts to release compounds into your body that actually can have all sorts of problems that can lead to serious issues.
Wake up feeling drugged, wake up in pain, feeling like I haven't slept even after a long sleep. Never feel like I've had enough sleep. 25th of March, Monday, 2013. Pain, wrists, knuckles, shoulders, particularly between shoulder blades, burning sensation.
For years, Victoria couldn't work out why she was so unwell and kept diaries documenting her symptoms.
A dull thumping headache that radiates from the top of my spine. My mouth and teeth feel disgusting. We need to eat as many as we can before tomorrow.
Why?
Why? Because we're not going to be here, are we?
What's the most unwell that you felt?
Moments of really feeling like I couldn't get out of bed and being in an incredible amount of pain and literally having to go to bed. It was debilitating. I had to be in bed. There was nowhere else I could be. Underneath a duvet and painkillers and hide from the world. I felt like I was dying, you know, something horribly, horribly wrong with me and I was going to die. Like I was being poisoned, that something was slowly killing me from the inside.
And how did you feel once you'd had the surgery? What changed?
Straight away, there was a difference. On waking up, there was a difference. I'd experienced a horrible taste in my mouth for, I couldn't tell you how long leading up to that point, and it had gone. I'd lost a lot of hair. That came back, that stopped falling out. Within 12 months, it was just incredible. I was back to where I was before I had it done.
Stop to me, Mum.
The mistake that was made was that they thought that it was only going to be a localized inflammatory response, just within the fallopian tubes.
Dr. Novoa removes Essure from women in the US and is now advising doctors here on the technique.
Do you think there is a clear association between the symptoms that many of these women are complaining about and this device?
I do believe that there's a clear association. When we remove the device in its entirety and don't leave any fragments behind, in 90% of the cases, we're seeing that the patients are recovering within just a few hours or even a few days.
While Essure has worked well for many women, over the past few years, thousands have come forward complaining of side effects and complications. A Facebook group here has more than 300 members, but a similar one in the US has more than 30,000.
But it's impossible to know exactly how common problems are. The NHS can't tell us how many women have been fitted with Essure in the UK or how many have had it removed. They simply don't know. The other way to find out is through the MHRA, which is the body that regulates our medical devices. We sent a Freedom of Information request to them asking how many women have reported problems with the device, but they refused to tell us on the grounds that this was commercially sensitive information that may impact the manufacturer.
But we know that in the US, more than 15,000 women have reported problems. These include pain, allergic reactions, and the coils moving to other parts of the body.
It's outrageous that they have to have journalists or the media trying to get access to this information. You shouldn't even need to use an FOI request. It should be on the website because you, I, but particularly the women who are affected should be able to look at this data. Why don't we want to inform women?
Many of the women we've spoken to weren't warned about some of the risks involved. For Laura, who has a nickel allergy, this would have devastating consequences.
I was left stuck with these things inside of my body that I was allergic to. I went from being a mum that was doing everything with her children, managing brilliantly, you know, putting carpet down and decorating and taking the kids here, there and everywhere, to a mum that spent most of her days in bed, unable to move without pain, to basically being a shell of myself and to, at some point, suicidal.
Did you really consider taking your own life?
At one point when it was really bad, the pain, it seemed that even the painkillers that they had me on, even morphine that I had to take at home, it just wouldn't take the pain away. Nothing was stopping the pain. It was unbearable. And I didn't know how, I felt like I was a failure as a mother, that I was not the mum that I used to be, that I should be, that I was a burden on everybody around me that was having to pick up the pieces. I really felt that I couldn't go on. I'm still not back to who I was. I still have days where all of my joints hurt, I'm still in pain. The damage that they've caused while they're inside of me for all that time won't ever be fixed.
Here's what we've found out about the problems with Essure. We've seen a letter sent by Cornwall Hospital in 2013 warning women who'd had it fitted that there'd been an unexpectedly high failure rate. It then stopped using the device. In 2015, a robust study showed that women who'd had Essure were 10 times more likely to need follow-up surgery than those who'd had a traditional sterilisation. Researchers said this was a serious safety concern. We also got hold of a list of safety issues the NHS have had with Essure over the years. These include device perforating the fallopian tube, moving around and attaching to the stomach lining, being incorrectly placed, and causing pain. So why are some hospitals still using Essure? Ben Peyton-Jones used to implant the device until his hospital reduced the number of women they offer it to.
Do you think that we should be using Essure in the UK still as a sterilisation option?
I think it has a place for women who can't have a keyhole operation and they understand the risks and benefits of the device very clearly.
Do you think it's a safe device?
I think if it's used correctly by the manufacturer's guidance and in trained hands, then I think it is safe.
Do you think with this procedure and with this device, the benefits outweigh the risks?
Would I suggest it as a procedure for my wife? Well, I don't think I would, because I think for her there are probably very suitable alternatives which probably have a better safety profile. But that's not to say that for some women they will feel that the benefits or the perceived benefits for them outweigh any risks that they might be told about.
No one signs up for saying, you know what, give me 10 out of 10 level pain and then make me have to have my uterus removed 2 or 3 years from now. That's outrageous, that's unacceptable, and yet we keep dismissing it. So it's basically shame on every doctor that knows about the Essure, that is not saying, listen, this is something that I can't sign on with, I cannot continue to do because of the risk to my patient.
So how did this device get approved for use in the UK?
The clinical trial evidence is so poor, it's not even worth taking account of. That trial should have followed the women up for 5 years, but they only followed them up for 1 year. So in effect, nobody's got a real understanding of what happens at 2 years, 3 years, or 5 years. Seriously, there's insufficient evidence to use this device on the market right now, so it should be withdrawn.
Do we need to be worried about other devices? Is our system flawed?
We particularly should be worried about what's called implantable medical devices. Anything that you put inside of your body, you want to know has long-term safety evidence. That means you have to wait. Now, when you look at the evidence that's used for devices across the board at this level, it is inferior. That says to me there's something inherently wrong in how we think about devices and how we regulate them.
Like vaginal meshes, which we investigated earlier this year, you have a device that women are complaining about, and yet again they feel they're not being listened to. It's clear that there are some risks associated with Essure, and yet in the years since these have started to emerge, very little has been done to inform or protect women.
Last year, the American regulator ordered the manufacturer Bayer to carry out long-term testing on Essure. It also forced them to put a warning on its box. But this hasn't happened here.
I want to read you that warning. Some patients implanted with Essure have experienced perforation of the uterus, perforation of the fallopian tubes. The inserts have been found in the abdominal or pelvic cavity. Patients have reported persistent pain and suspected allergic or hypersensitivity reactions. It then goes on to say, if the device needs to be removed, then a surgical procedure will be required. If you've been told about these risks, would you have considered having this device?
No, not in a million years. Absolutely no way at all, especially with the part with the nickel.
No, of course not, no. Why would I? Why would anyone put themselves at that risk for contraception?
Questions are now being asked. Earlier this month, the sale of Essure implants was suspended across the EU for 3 months. The manufacturer has asked hospitals not to use their existing stock during this time, but the regulator has left it up to individual trusts to decide. Both Bayer and the MHRA stress that this product is safe and that the majority of women experience no side effects.
No one's listening to us. There are many, many women coming forward, approaching their GPs, going back to the implanting doctors, saying that I'm unwell. I've been unwell since I had this product. We need to be acknowledged.
How much evidence do you want to be in a position where you go, let's withdraw this device, this was a seriously bad idea?
I wish it was never invented. I wish that I could go back all them years and say, don't do it, Emily, do not do it.
I wish I'd never heard of Essure. I wish I'd never had it put inside of me or lived through things that nobody should ever have to live through. Nobody should go through what I went through, and yet there are so many women that still are.